That might be
It's a
great,
sandbox.
wide
It's a
shot.
soapbox. It's FanBox.
And welcome to Tardis Talk, where just like with Doctor Who, everything seems to go terribly wrong before it ever ends up getting done properly. So with that said, with that opening, I am Tony. With me is David. David, go ahead. Before we go any further, tell me where we can find you.
I am Xanatos1138 on all social medias.
That's right. And I'm Tony. You can find me at Mr. Marvelite. You can also find me everywhere on TikTok whenever I'm on it. But also here on It's FanBox, which is fanbox.com. You can check out other podcasts, fanboxnetwork.com. And you can find this where podcasts are whenever I get around to posting them. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and talk about episode 33. We took a little bit of a hiatus from the holidays. We did a couple of holiday episodes. Seems like a year ago at this point. But we're talking Gridlock, which is with I want to say it's the first official. Is this no? It's the second official because we did Shakespeare, which was their first real travel after the Badoon platoon on the moon, and so we are now back on New Earth with the episode called Gridlock. Now, funny, I actually did some research on this one, but first of all, overall opinions, David. What did you think about this episode?
I always on a rewatch, I remember before watching it that I didn't like this particular episode, for example. It's like, I don't know if I really liked this episode as much. That still holds true, but it's always better than I remembered it being. It was just mostly a traffic jam. They were stuck in a traffic jam, and yeah, that was it.
Okay.
That was my only takeaway.
Yeah, for me, it was interesting because I think upon multiple watching and us as a group realizing that basically, apart from Shakespeare, it's the Doctor takes her on places that he's already been on with Rose, and it's kind of like the hey, I know I kissed you a while back, but really, let me tell you about how I'm pining for somebody who else that I can't get to. This is definitely a different view. We were above ground the first time we went to New Earth. We were at the hospital with, of course, the cat people, which I don't remember their names. And of course, we had people being grown for the specific purpose of being tested on so they could come up with cures, which was, really messed up. Those really messed up. But it was also the last episode we saw the face of Bo until this episode,
Mm-hmm.
which happens to be the last episode of this iteration of the face of Bo, per se.
Yeah, and I've had a different perspective on the face of Bo because, spoilers, you find out later on that is actually Jack Harkness,
right.
But somehow he just grows to be a giant head. And that, for me, that made the face of Bo's mysticism so much less that I was way less impressed with the face of Bo this time. It's like, well, I get the lines hit more because now that you know that it's Jack, it's like, oh yeah, of course he knows who the Doctor is. And of course he has that same reverence for the Doctor, both as Jack Harkness and the face of Bo. But also, I don't know, it lessens it somewhat somewhere for me.
Well, for me, it just makes me think that maybe there is hope for James Barrowman to actually chill the F down. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, the face of Bo, I was thinking there was this some big mystic greater thing, especially when you were talking about when we talk about how the Doctor is dealing with the trauma from Gallifrey, and you're like, oh, you're not alone, and it is okay, what does that mean? Which was what he says in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
The message that the face of Bo was trying to give the Doctor the last time he saw him on New Earth was literally that he was not alone. And we know that leads to kind of the arch villain arc of this season for the Doctor with the Master. But when you realize that, and you're exactly right, I was a little bit disappointed that that's all he was. Now, at the moment, it was a fun nod. Like, it was like the moment when he goes, yeah, and they used to call me the face of Bo, and he walks away and they're all like, wait, what? And that was cool. And then it sat with me and I was just like, ugh, I don't know if I like this. So
This does start what I feel like is the best master reveal in New Who. It's funny because it is the first one, but it's also the best one they've done so far, because it's playing like the long game. Like,
yes.
it turns out he's the master, and this guy is just he takes nothing seriously. He puts the gas mask on. Like that whole sequence was
Yeah. And then you realize that throughout the entire season, the master has been like meddling this whole time and they haven't even gotten to him yet.
Yep.
Which I thought was hilariously amazing, that the TARDIS was existing in two places at the same time, and like they're dealing with all of that, and of course the TARDIS was being created into this giant helicarrier. I might add, when we get to that episode, it's literally just a British helicarrier.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll reach on that when it gets to it. But this is year 5,000,043. The entirety of the New Earth humanity is under New York, and they're living in a massive underground traffic jam that's lasted 22 years. Which is first of all, only the British know how to cue that well. I'm just gonna say it. If this was real New York, people would be throwing down and getting into fights and everything else. But the British know how to cue. So for them, this is plausible. For us, I don't think so. I don't think I would want to live in a traffic jam for even 5 minutes. But,
having been in New York traffic jams, because I used to live up near there, so I've been there a lot. I mean, I'm not like a firsthand expert, but just seeing my relatives react to traffic jams, I feel like eventually someone would just barrel through everyone else to get to where they need. Like they wouldn't sit there; they would just.
Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking about like what was it? New York Comic Con, when we were going like to the Javits Center. I remember like I was taking an Uber, and there was this guy. He was either from I think he was from Russia, very Russian name, and he's my Uber driver. And like this guy is whipping around all of the traffic to the point of where I had to close my eyes because I was sure we were gonna die. And people just do wild stuff in New York to get out of traffic and get away from it. I don't think people would just sit there, but they did. This is not the first time we're revisiting something with New Who. This creature, the crab-like creature, I believe it's called the Makra, and it's actually the first time it's been seen since 1967 in the episode The Magra Terror, which I went back and watched the animated edition of this because the original episode was missing. They only had the audio, and so they animated it, which was really interesting because the crabs were manipulating people into this vacation planet, like that they thought that they were having fun and everything else, and they were mining for this gas that these crabs fed off of.
So it's from the second Doctor?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So very interesting. It was an interesting episode just to kind of get caught up. But a lot of people believe that the Makra in this episode is actually a devolved version of the ones that we saw back in 1967, which, mind you, this is millions of years later. The creatures have been underground, and they're feasting off of this captivity of people that are causing this huge amount of pollution in the motorway.
They mentioned something about that in the episode. I think like something made them more primitive, and yeah, they were just mindless beasts.
Well, think about it. They didn't. They were in the first appearance that they had. They were manipulating the people in order to mine and harvest what they needed. In this one, they just needed to feast off the polluted gases from the cars. They didn't need to do anything. So in a sense, you kind of get lazy after a while. And imagine like these things, if they don't have to worry about actually kind of in a sense hunting for their food, it's just given to them. They probably were a little bit degraded and deteriorated or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the episode was inspired by Judge Dredd. with Mega City 1 and Blade Runner. And there's actually a bowler-hatted businessman that we see in the episode. I think it's like one of the last jumps that the Doctor makes, and he's actually based off of one of the Judge Dredd characters called Max Normal, which
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know Judge Dredd that well. I've seen the movies and I've read some of the comics, but I'm not familiar with Max Normal in the sense.
The extent I know of Judge Dredd, I watched a Sylvester Stallone movie.
Oh,
It was actually unintentionally funny a lot of
oh
the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And then I watched the Carl Urban one. Carl Urban, the Carl Urban one was, so it actually surprised me to how good it was.
Oh yeah.
But that was also confined to like just that one building, I think, for most of it.
I think that's the thing that worked for that movie because, there was like this big conspiracy, everything else. Like the cities are like it's like nations in and of themselves, and each city is like its own nation
Mhm.
and like its own ecosystem. So you could do like, can you imagine if they would have continued the story? They could have gone from one city block to another and be dealing with tons of different things.
It also reminded me a lot of Cyberpunk 2077, because it had the
Yeah.
same building structure.
Mhm. Oh yeah, absolutely. We did talk about the Facebook. This is the first Doctor Who episode to be entirely in the CGI world.
Hmm.
So they kind of went out the window when it came to the practical effects as much. But David Tennant did do all of his own stunts for this episode. Well, the majority of his stunts. I won't say all of them. And then Russell T Davies said that one of the composers for this episode actually had written their own hymn for the episode that all of the writers would sing, but it sounded too much like the soundtrack, so they went back and they decided to just sing the song "Abide with Me," which is interesting. What's the greatest way to get people into conformity is let's go ahead and get them religious as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
talking from a guy with a Bible degree,
I had that thought when they were, doing that, and I often will be respectful. I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form. So it is kind of like sometimes I have to be careful what I say because I don't want to offend someone, but I also it's a slippery slope. And if Niko were here, he would call bullshit. But yeah, no, you made me think of this. It's a random story about practical effects, but do you remember? I think it was Universal or maybe Disney back, like way back when Hercules and Xena, the TV shows were on.
Yeah.
They had this interactive exhibit where you go in and both Kevin Sorbo, this is also way before Kevin Sorbo was a weirdo,
a wackadoodle,
outed himself as one, and Lucy Lawless were involved, but it was like an interactive episode where it's like somehow it was a very cross the stream thing where they came out of or they would interact with the TV like, oh, you guys got to help us. And it was finishing the episode. The reason I say all that is because at the very end, they ask for like 6 or 7 volunteers to go up to this animatronic scorpion.
okay.
And it's just this big scorpion model. But each person had to control a piece of it. So like, okay, 3, 2, 1, make it move, and you pull levers and stuff to make this thing move, and then they'd show you on the episode, yeah, this is what it looked like, and then there's it's on the screen like that. So that's how like practical effects were done back in the day for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing when they it's kind of like when you go back with Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was originally going to be stop motion animation.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was Industrial Light and Magic was working on their CGI building with wireframing and stuff like that, and they created this T-Rex running through a field, and the Steven Spielberg was like, "This is what we have to do," but he didn't want to break it. I can't remember the guy's name who was doing the CGI, or the stop motion. But he brought him in to show him the test footage, and Steven Spielberg is like, "Well, what do you think?" And the guy goes, "I think I'm extinct," which is why later on in the movie, when Alan Grant goes, I think we're out of a job. And Ian Malcolm runs up and goes, well, don't you mean extinct? But they kept him working on the film because what they did was, in order to get the movements right, they had these robotic like versions of the T-Rex with the tail and everything, all of these different like motion points. And he would control the T-Rex that way. And then ILM would then fill all of it in with CGI, and that was how they got the basis of why it looks so like rounded, even though it was CGI at that time. Because most CGI was kind of wonky. It was kind of
Yeah.
like the Ninth Doctor's, those bat-looking gargoyle creatures for when Rose broke time, but they looked so much better, so much better.
Those bat things in the Ninth Doctor was just this big square blob coming down it.
Yeah, it was like giant polygons. It's like when you're sitting, like, you were so excited about. Do you remember having? Do you ever have a GameCube?
Yeah.
I had a GameCube and I played what was it, Rogue Squadron, and I was so into that because I'm like, look at all the polygons, look at all the. It's so realistic, and now I look at it like, yeah, it's crap.
I remember buying an N64 from a vintage game shop here, and I bought every single Star Wars game that was in the N64 library at the same time. And I have a regular television like now, and even with the adapter, because there's an adapter to get the graphics how they used to be, I couldn't see anything. I could not make out shapes trying to fly an X-wing on the first level of Tatooine. I was like, well, I'll come back to this later, and I haven't revisited. I think it's in my
Right.
storage unit.
Right. General Grievous 19 said, hello there. Hello there. You know?
General Kenobi.
So okay. Let me see. Was there anything else I had? Let's not, we can't not talk about the bliss drugs.
Oh, I was just thinking that too. Yes.
Yeah. So there's this entire market in this world of people living in like this poverty and this like horrible state of, polluted existence, and they just want to forget. They just want to forget. They've lost family members, whatever else. And so people make a pill that you can forget spans of time and everything else. It's just wild. It's just wild.
It is the Fourth Reich's dream to have something like that.
It's the bliss drug.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here. There was a nod to Grant Wood's famous painting American Gothic with some of the people in the thing. By the way, I will say I liked the variety of people that were on the in the cars that we did get to meet. But the concept, the whole premise of kidnapping someone to be able to get into HOV lane, like, cracked me up.
Yeah, and then because it's normal for them, they just did it going, oh, I'm so sorry. You have to live with us for years now. Live in this van. We can't get out because there's too much smoke.
Yeah.
And no, I think I would have crashed out also. I probably would have tried to take control of the car, but like, screw the rules, go up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, did these people forget that there was an up? Like, I know they were blocked out, and it took the doctor like getting them out of there and getting them freed. I wonder how long the disease on the planet actually like existed before they could have been released.
I don't know. I mean,
22 years is a long time.
Yeah. Because when the doctor saw all of like the council members were all skeletons, so it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. We know quarantine can be long, but I can't imagine being quarantined in a car for 22 years.
No, I mean, when in our
that's lockdown.
In our real life quarantine, I was living in a trailer for that entire time. That sucked. It was like living in a bread box. Would not recommend.
Yeah, I get that. Like, it's just like a completely different existence. I almost feel like I don't remember it so well. Like, I mean, I can go back and talk about it, but like actually experiencing it, like, I can imagine these people, like, what are they going to do with the rest of their lives now that they're not in the car? It's like, oh, we'll just travel somewhere else. Like, you mean I can get from point A to point B in like no time?
They'd have serious confinement issues.
Oh, and like how are people not killing each other? Well, maybe that's why they need to kidnap other people, or they just took the bliss drugs.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably, make a pit stop. And how would you go without running out of gas after a while? I don't. I'm sorry. I can't suspend the was it suspension of disbelief. Um, okay. Overall thoughts of the episode. We kind of nitpicked a little bit more than we've done for others, with facts and stuff, which is great. Um, what's your opinion of the episode? Like, really, how do you feel about it?
I I thought it was okay. It's one of those ones where I'm just going to say now I would give it a 7 only because my rating scale is a regular Doctor Who episode typically gets a 7 from me.
Yeah.
So there's like no extra enjoyment, not one that I would actually like sit down and go, "Oh, I think I want to watch this episode independently from other ones." It's just there. Um, like when we watched I actually went back and I watched the Husbands of River Song. When we watched the Husbands of River Song, I'm like, yeah, this is one I would purposely go out of my way to go watch again because it's such a good episode.
Oh yeah.
This one was just, it was a transition to the next thing.
Yeah. So for those of you who are, maybe, let's say you're only into new Who or whatever, and I'm starting to get into the older Who stuff, bits and pieces here and there. When I reference the fact that there are some animated episodes, it's because the original footage or the footage for the episode was lost. They were able to find the audio, or they maybe, in some cases, I don't know if they've ever had to reenact it or anything.
Well,
but they created these episodes based off of what happened in the episode.
I don't know how many Doctors it affected, but I know the first Doctor had something similar where a lot of those episodes were lost, because I watched most of the first Doctor's run and it skips like huge. It actually numbers them correctly. So you see the number and then you see the other number skipped ahead, I think. I'm pretty sure. Because I remember seeing the giant gap in between. But the first Doctor was not as big of a deal because the only connecting storylines had like 6 parters, because back then the episodes were only 23 minutes long.
Right. But a lot of the time when they were doing these episodes, they were doing them serialized. They were not expecting people to go back and watch them at any time.
Yeah.
Like, these were one and done episodes, which is kind of amazing that it's like we're able to save some of this stuff, but like they weren't intended to go back to. Now we could go back and look at it and we could scrutinize things. And I think this goes to a bigger discussion, and I don't mean to throw this on you, but I'm going to do it because we only talk about Doctor Who sometimes a little bit. This is kind of on topic, but I wonder, sometimes we scrutinize movies, TV shows, short films, whatever it is, to a point where if it doesn't meet a certain criteria that we've set in our mind, sometimes people bash it, they trash it, they call it a mid episode or whatever else. Like, going back to this is not an episode that I would probably want to go back and rewatch on a number of occasions, but if it's on, I could sit through it. But a lot of times when we watch stuff, it's meant to be enjoyed once and then just go on with your day, not for you to constantly go back and regurgitate it and rewatch it over and over again. And so I remember back in the day when I would want to go see a movie, I'd, let's say, perchance turn on Entertainment or whatever else where Siskel Ebert would end up being, and they'd give it thumbs up or thumbs down. And I'd be like, I don't care what they think. But now we put so much weight in people reviewing it ahead of time that it's kind of funny, because, give you an example, I just recently watched the Megan movies for the first time. Had no interest in watching them. I heard the first one was pretty good. I heard the second one was complete and utter trash. I enjoyed the second one more than I enjoyed the first one. And it's because I didn't expect anything out of it. And it's like with these episodes, I always want to say, when we rate or when we grade something, at least in my opinion, I'm rating and grading it based off the fact that I've watched these things more than once and I'm comparing it to other stuff. But in and of itself, it's amazing that these type of shows are made. And yeah, they might be campy and they might be weird, but let's face it, I grew up watching Howard the Duck. And if I can get past the fact that there were duck nipples, I can get past the fact that they're singing hymns in the Gridlock for 22 years.
I'm guilty of taking others' opinions when they talk about a movie and be like, oh, maybe I should wait to see that. But like, I also try to encourage people to form your own opinion. Like, if you really are curious about seeing it, like I've seen, despite knowing it was going to be bad, or at least critically panned, I've seen Morbius, I've seen Madam Web, I've seen Craven the Hunter.
Mhm.
The only one I can say that was better than I expected was Craven the Hunter.
Yeah.
It was a very low bar, but it was still better than I expected it to be.
But it's like I even appreciate. I think the only thing I've really regretted watching was mostly Black Adam.
Mhm.
I was also I had COVID when I watched it, so I'm not gonna give it another chance. But I appreciated Morbius a little bit. In fact, it was kind of funny because I was starting to compare it to Amazing Spider-Man 2 because there's a lot of similarities.
Matt Smith was the best part of that movie.
Oh, absolutely. And then the dancing was just
Mhm.
hilarious. Because then I went back and I'm like, oh, Doctor Who, this makes sense. I understand this. Um Craven was okay. I think once they got to Rhino, I was like,
Yep. Yep.
um,
That was a weird choice.
I even watched Madam Web, and I would say Morbius is hands down infinitely better than Madam Web.
Madam Web, the last half hour was the only good part of the movie. That's because it was like the climax, everything was wrapping up, but it's like,
And you
if you
find
will.
out Sony's just a bunch of liars because the only time you really get to see suits on these characters is in like actual hallucinations or like visions. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious as well?
I got that spoiled for me beforehand. I'm still like, oh, I'll watch it. And I was just like, kind of, uh, I felt like I was disassociating for some of it. I was just there. Speaking of also, a friend of mine, have you ever watched The War of the Worlds with Ice Cube?
Yes.
It is hilariously bad, and it's a giant Amazon ad. But
Yeah.
just the memes and the way that Ice Cube was trying to win an award with his acting is so worth the watch. It's something you don't even have to. You can just turn your brain off and just
Yeah.
kind of laugh at like the absurdity of it all.
It's like, okay, the guy who's sitting in the chair is gonna save the world. Like
Yeah.
that's like it's like Ned Leeds is gonna save the world in Spider-Man.
Don't worry, I'm a pro. Takes out tape to seal up a giant gash on the woman's leg or side or wherever it was. And then I actually, throughout the whole movie, near the end, when I saw blood on her face, like near the end of the movie, I was like, oh yeah, she's still bleeding out. When are they going to address that?
Yeah, yeah. There's a number of movies that are kind of like that. It was kind of like what was the movie? Oh geez. It made it look like it was like these spaceships that actually like people got beamed up and they were disintegrated. They were like being harvested. I can't remember what the name of the movie was, but like it had this really interesting concept. And then you're just sitting there like the sequels made no sense whatsoever. I have to go back and look back what it was. But yeah, it's funny when you look at a movie and you're just like, no. But there are films like that I imagine don't get any like Christmas holiday. Candy Cane Lane. I watched it was on Amazon. It's a film with Eddie Murphy.
Mhm.
Really good Christmas movie. I watched Playdate with Kevin James, and I can't remember what his name is, the guy who plays Reacher. Um and then I kind of watched Heads of State with Idris Elba and John Cena, which
Yeah.
was really good. And then I watched the other one with John Cena and Aquafina. I can't remember what it was, but it was like the lottery one. Which were for fun movies. Would I go back and watch them again? Probably not. My kid's obsessed with Playdate though, but I don't know why. But
It's a movie, after you see it the first time, it's a movie to have on in the background.
yes,
You know, it's,
I will take that. It's like
which
Ready
is
Player
fine.
One for me. Yeah.
Yeah. The book for Ready Player One obviously is much better, but it's focused
yeah.
on Atari.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you find out he gets a one-up coin from playing a machine,
Mhm.
like in an arcade off a different planet. And I thought it was funny because it's like if they would have done Ready Player One the way that the books like designed it, we would have spent the majority of the movie in the school planet because that's where he was for most of the time
Mhm.
because he was stuck. But
Yeah, and the book makes the relationship with Artemis. I think it was Artemis, right?
Yeah.
Makes that relationship a lot less creepy than the movie did.
yeah,
because the movie condensed it all. It was like, that's too fast.
Yeah, but then also Wade was a jerk. Like he was a bit of a jerk and he was a slob.
Mm-hmm.
And like the fact that you realize like everybody's like overweight and everybody's like, you know, lethargic and everything else. And he had to like put in like things where he had to work out in order to get himself and people didn't recognize him because he just lost weight.
Yep.
It's like crap. I don't want to be that person.
That, I mean, if the future of gaming is like that, where you have like a walk pad and stuff like that, sounds pretty cool. As long as you put that stuff in place to still be active.
Literally, it's just us becoming the people in WALL-E.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I gotta get a more comfortable chair. My chair's falling apart.
Yeah, mine keeps making a squeaky noise.
Well, I've got pieces of the chair falling off.
Yeah, mine's flaking.
Yep.
But I thought of this earlier with the concept of old Who and new Who. I find myself not really wanting to go back to old Who unless there's a direct reference. Like, oh, let me go back and watch an episode. So I watched the Sutek episode before Shooty's, when it was revealed that it was Sutek. I'm like, oh, let me go back and watch that episode when he was introduced and see.
Yeah, that was a hard watch.
So isolated incidences like that, I'll go back and watch old Who, but I find myself not being motivated. I've seen most of the first Doctor. That was an education. Because, man, it was funny how they just messed up lines and kept going. But I also think of it in the scope of Star Wars fans. I grew up on the original trilogy, but would totally understand a new fan today not really wanting to go back to the original trilogy and being a fan of the newer stuff. Like, that actually has happened with generations. Like, there's a generation that likes the prequels the best. There's my generation that typically likes the original trilogy, even though I was a teenager when the prequels came out. So I was somewhere in the middle. And there's people that have been introduced to Star Wars thanks to Disney. I mean, there's going to be so many different points of view.
Yeah, and it's okay because like my wife Rebecca will like watching certain Star Wars like stuff with us when we're watching, but she's never sat through any of she has never sat in order. She's never sat through the whole canon of it or anything. It was one night she was reading a book. It was a golden book of Luke Skywalker's story, and it got to the point where Darth Vader turned good and became Anakin again, and she's like, "Wait, what? He dies good?" She never knew. I was like, oops, sorry, spoilers. didn't mean to ruin it for you.
Yeah, there's and they expand on that. Was like, oh yeah, he becomes a Force ghost, he helps out, so like he's kind of repaying his debt. Kinda. I don't know.
Yeah.
Still waiting on that for Kylo Ren. They haven't done anything.
It's okay. They can leave it there. It's all right. But yeah, so let's go ahead and rate the episode. I'll just go ahead and start it. For me, it's a 6. It's watchable if it's on. It's easy to put it on in the background because I'm not really going to pay too much attention to it. It was good for the episode, but it's not one I'm going to want to go back and watch. But it's middle ground for me. I hate saying mid because mid sounds negative. It's more of like I don't hate it, but I'm not like, it's not on my top 10 list. So.
Yeah, I would give it a 7 for basically the same reasons. Like, it's there. It's a Doctor Who episode. It checks all the boxes of Doctor Who, but it's not. It's one that I actually forget about constantly. Like, oh yeah, Gridlock's next. Damn.
I just also want to say, how dare the cat guy be upset with the two ladies that are married when he's literally a cat person with a woman having a litter of kittens? Like, come on.
Yeah, he was the introduction of the cat people in that first episode. I'm like, wow, religious zealots that are cats. I don't like them. And then this guy was like, dressed like a pilot and got a nice accent. I'm like, okay, no, this is a better cat person.
And he's actually based off of a Saturday morning cartoon from the UK. Let's see, it is Brannigan's Flying Ace outfit. It's from a morning show called Live and Kicking, which I don't know anything about, but if you want to go look it up, like that's what he's based off of. And it's literally, he looks kind of like the character. So yeah.
Cool.
No, mind you, Google is a wonderful thing to be able to look up facts and stuff. It's not like I was like sitting there going, that makes sense. That reminds me. No, I just looked it up. But I looked it up so you don't have to. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of my Doctor Who references are outside of the show. Like, I'm blanking on his name, but there's a Jedi training droid that's voiced by David Tennant, and his origin is that they found him in a blue box.
I didn't know that. And then there's I went down the David Tennant rabbit trail, and I ended up watching, I don't know what it was, but it was David Tennant dressed up like Sonny. No, like Cher, saying "Don't go breaking my heart." So that's out there too. So yeah. With that said, we've gone for, well, let's see, how long have we gone for? I'm not even seeing my timer anymore. About 36 minutes. That's a pretty healthy, probably longer than the Doctor Who episode itself, which is not bad. Because it's like, how do you talk about an episode? Next week we are going to be talking about 2 episodes. It's Daleks in Manhattan, and I believe it's the evolution of the Daleks, I think, or evolution of Daleks,
something like that. That's this is a 2-parter where I can already say I'm going to give it a higher rating because I love those episodes.
Yes, and this is where we get Andrew Garfield in the Whoniverse. So like if you ever want to, and mind you, we don't do this because it would take forethought. If you ever want to do like a ticker of how many times you can see Game of Thrones and Marvel characters or Marvel actors in the Doctor Who, it happens a lot.
Shocking amount of Star Wars characters too.
Yes, and it seems like also like a lot of like Bridgerton and Downton Abbey as well, but we're getting there. With that said, this has been Tardis Talk. Next week we'll be doing a 2-parter. Catch us that time, Sundays at 2 p.m. We would love to have you. That's Eastern time, 11 a.m. Pacific, or Canadian, as we like to say better. Well, I guess it's West Coast Canadian. Forget what I just said. Go back, Pacific. We're just going to do that. But David, go ahead and tell us where we can find you again.
I am Xanatos1138 on all socials. I have been posting lately. I've just been posting old Star Wars lore videos that I had saved up in my drafts, or I'm playing through the Halo campaigns again. So if I come across a clip that reminds me of something or is a cool scene, I usually just clip it and post it to my TikTok, because why not? There's actually one up right now that made me think of The Rookie, because I'm playing through Halo ODST, and Nathan Fillion is one of the main characters. And every time he says The Rookie, I just think of the theme song in my head.
Oh. See, I would think Cop Cutie, cute and on duty. And I'm Mr. Marvelite. You can find me at Mr. Marvelite whenever I decide to post content, because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Most times I don't. I'm really, if you were in my basement, you would probably just see me like either 3D printing something that I will never get around to painting, or painting something that I have been trying to get around to forever. Most recently, I've been printing organizing stuff for my painting when I finally decided to do it. But I did paint one item. I have a 5-headed dragon that I've been like sitting on for a while, and I finally finished the majority of it. Now I have to actually do details with paintbrush. So maybe I'll do some content on that. I don't know. And then I've still got to build my table. But also, do you like my little digital LED screen here?
I love that. Yeah.
It's my little. So this was, just to give you an idea, this was the ticker screen on the railroad, or the subway car at the Spirit Halloween train this year, or last year. So I took that, and I actually found out that I can actually post images like that on it. They're very pixelated, but hey, it looks good from here. So we'll catch you guys next time. Again, check us out on itsfanbox.com. This episode will post on there as a news link. And then also be sure to check out The Real Study as they review different movies. And they go niche, and they go pretty cool stuff. So be sure to check them out as well. You can find them on The Real Study here on YouTube as well. With that said, we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to grab the right mouse, and we're going to close up. So we'll see you guys next time.